This is the Toastmasters branded version of the newest WordPress theme that's been introduced for 2023. And it includes a lot of nice customization options. So here I have it on the Online Presenters website where we've done this blue background, white text variation, and we've added our social media buttons up top and a search blank. This is Club Awesome. This is the original WordPress for Toastmasters website. A little bit different layout. Previously, both of these websites used the same theme, but they had a theme that had this header image locked in at the top, and it was on the top of every single page. Whereas I thought it would be better to just have it on the home page, and then if I went to an agenda, I could get straight to the content of that meeting agenda. Or if I went to a blog post, I could see the featured image associated with that blog post. So I wanted to get some of that out of the way, and this allows me the freedom to customize. And allows you the freedom to customize too, while still guiding you towards the use of Toastmasters brand approved colors and so forth. Now, it does take a bit of getting used to, however. One of the main things that changes on a practical level is if you lay out your website and you develop some specific pages for things, you want to have them on your menu. And if you have a well-developed website, you might have some sub-menus and special pages of your site. And so editing the menus is an important thing to understand. The way I've trained people previously to do it is you go to this Customize button up top, and you come into this section for menus, and I can go to my primary menus, and this is where I can add pages or move them around. But the customizer tool actually goes away in the new version. So some of this stuff has to be a little bit relearned. But with that, you get some extra freedom. So instead of customize, now I have this button that says Edit Site, or this link up top that says Edit Site. So if I go into Edit Site, I'm going to see the entire website in the editor, including the header portion that's repeated on every page, and the footer portion down the bottom that includes the Toastmasters required disclaimers and so forth. So you could add things to both of these sections. So please don't mess with those legally required disclaimers, but you can add an additional thing. So for example, if you had a club sponsor or you were a corporate club and you wanted to have the company logo someplace, maybe you would put that in the footer on every page and give them an acknowledgement and a thank you. So you can customize all these things. But as I mentioned, one of the most practical things that just about everybody's going to need to do is know how to customize the menu. And here we're going to stick with the concept of blocks. So I talk a lot about content blocks, where when you're editing a web page or a blog post, you have different controls associated with headings and paragraphs and images. Well, here, navigation is within the header wrapper. We go to the navigation block, and so we have controls here for how the navigation block should be laid out on the page. And then within that, we have individual items. So this is a link to a specific page. So I could change that link, or I can also, if I want to add a page, I can add it over here. And so it gives me a drop down and a search. So, I mean, I could pick this one right here, but I could also search through and find directory of experts if I wanted to add that at the end. We also have the option of creating submenus within here. It's a little bit different than the way it worked in the older version. So, see, I have two resources tabs here for some reason, but suppose I want to turn this one into a submenu. This is the icon to select that I want to create a submenu, and now I have an area down here where I can add Club Mentor Program, and I can add Directory of Experts as a couple of different resources that I want to be available under that submenu. Now, I will say that I found this a little bit tricky to work with sometimes in terms of making sure that you've selected the right thing. So right now I've selected the row, which is a layout component that wraps around the menu and some other items. This little icon here is a handy thing to click on because this lets you see exactly what you have selected in the hierarchy. So when I switch to navigation, now it says that I've selected the navigation widget, and I can see the properties for the navigation on the right. If I select a specific menu item, it shows me that I've selected the menu item instead of the navigation item. And so then if I need to find my way back up the tree, I click on navigation again. Having navigation selected allows me to see a little plus button down the end for adding another page. If you have an established website that already has a well-developed set of menus, there is a different step you'll have to take to preserve that. We'll switch this to the 2023 TM theme. And when we go look at the site, we'll see just this very simple menu here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to import the old menu. There is a way of doing that. So we need to go in and we need to make sure that we have selected not just the header, but the specific navigation component. So yes, okay, so we've selected navigation. There's the properties of that, and it says Toastmasters navigation. But there's this option to import the classic menus, and primary menu is what I had previously. And from here, we can edit that further. Now, if you were on a brand new website, you'd get a very basic menu like this. And if I go into Edit Site, so I will see this starter menu for me here. Also, over here, this is a place where I can add my social media links just as icons. So this is the social icons block. It works sort of like the navigation block, but what we would do is we would pick the specific icon that we want to appear here. We're going to set the address to the address for our club Facebook page. And then if I select again, I can add whatever else I want to have in here, LinkedIn or whatever, and I would go through the same process of adding the link to that. Now, there are lots of other things here that we can change. If I wanted to have an image that appeared at the top of every page, I can just add that in here. So I'm going to select the row and select an image. We can either upload an image or choose one from our media library. I'm just going to use the Toastmasters logo because I have that handy, but it could be any image. I will caution you in terms of brand guidelines, Toastmasters International is sensitive about having another company or organization logo placed right adjacent to theirs. So behave yourself. But if you have some little cartoon representing the nature of your club, for example, Tragicomedy Toastmasters might want to add something with the comedy and tragedy mask to the header of every page. They could do that with this approach. Now, I showed a couple of sites that had customizations to the color scheme. The way you can do that is there's this little icon over here that says Styles, a little half-shaded circle. And this allows you to change things about the colors and the layout and the topography of your website. You know, I encourage you not to necessarily go crazy with this, but there are a few alternative stylings that are available. This is the blue background one. There is also a maroon version. And then we have a couple here that say this is Loyal Blue Frame or True Maroon Frame, and we don't see that changing in the editor. But I left it on, if I leave it on True Maroon Frame, say Save, and go out to preview this on the site, we'll just see that we have this colored border around the page, which is kind of nice. Now this potentially can get confusing because you are seeing, in this view, we're seeing the layout elements, but we're also seeing the content of the page. And you actually can go in here and make changes to the content of your home page if you wanted to. But if you want to view these things separately, it is actually also possible to go in and just edit just the header separately or just the footer separately from the rest of the website setup. There are different templates. So what I was showing you was the template for the front page. Here's the template for a single blog post. So this is showing just more of an abstract view. So this is a placeholder for a featured image associated with that post or that page. It shows post title, and it shows a placeholder for where the post title would be. So this allows you to sort of abstract it away from the specific content of the page. And it should be the same thing if we go into the front page view. So here, now it's not showing me the specific title of the page, but it's showing me that this is set up to use a featured image associated with the page, to have a sidebar component, which not every page in this setup has. And if we wanted to change that, if you don't like there being a sidebar, you could get rid of it. So you can change a lot of things here that previously would have required you to either learn some programming or hire some programmer to change things for you. So there's a lot of new possibilities with it. If you actually look in on the WordPress dashboard, you will see the word beta associated with this. So if we go to Appearance, it's Editor Beta is the site editor. But it's getting a lot better. This was actually introduced a year ago, and I was a little bit reluctant to push it on people because of the amount of retraining required. But it does give you a lot of power, a lot of flexibility. If you'd like to try it, go for it.